Nostalgia here again with another edition of our Flipped History. Our topic today is the Jeffersonian Era, and this is a time period between 1801 and 1825. It's going to begin with Thomas Jefferson and end with James Monroe. Our learning outcomes for today, there are three. Number one, students, you should be able to examine the impact the election of Thomas Jefferson had on the United States. Number two, you should be able to explain the reasons that the United States went to war with the British in 1812. And number three, you should be able to understand the Monroe Doctrine and the impact it had, not just here in the United States, but the world. So, Jefferson himself. The term Jeffersonian Republicanism is going to be given to this time period again between 1801 and 1825. Jefferson is the leader of the Democratic Republicans, also known as Anti-Federalists. He is going to believe that simple government is best, and he believes that decentralizing the power is going to be the way to do this. Also, shrinking the government, cutting their costs is going to be a big point for Jefferson here. Remember, Democratic Republicans, Anti-Federalists, they're the ones that were against the ratification of the Constitution. So they're against larger government and fearful of that government becoming too large and overpowering. So Jefferson himself is going to start to cut that back to give more power back to the people. And also he's going to eliminate Alexander Hamilton's tax plan, which is going to play a big part in this as well. One little Jeopardy fact about Jefferson himself, he's the first president to take office in the newly finished White House. Adams, before him, did kind of live there, but it was still under construction. So Jefferson himself, if you ever get on Jeopardy, he is the first one to live in the White House as it was complete. The first issue that Jefferson is going to face is the case of Marbury Madison. Before John Adams is going to leave office as president, he is going to attempt to fill a lot of new judge positions with Federalists. And the reason he's going to do that is try to impede Jefferson's new reforms that he wants to put in place when he takes office. So you may have heard or referred to them before as these midnight justices. Again, it's a kind of a hoping to slide them in at the last minute of the last day of his presidency and kind of ultimately screw over Jefferson. Jefferson, however, is going to tell James Madison to not deliver these appointments. And the reason that he's going to tell him to not deliver these appointments is he believes it should be invalid because at this point, Adams is no longer president. They're still kind of left on the desk to be delivered the next day. So Jefferson says, no, this is not right, and tells Madison, do not deliver these appointments. So this is ultimately going to bring in the question of the Judiciary Act of 1789, which kind of extended the power of the Supreme Court. So the people that are involved here, William Marbury, he was supposed to be this newly appointed Justice of the Peace there in Washington, D.C. So he is going to take James Madison, who was supposed to deliver those appointments, to court. And the guy that's going to oversee this whole thing is Chief Justice John Marshall. And John Marshall is initially going to scold Madison and kind of really give him a hard time about not delivering these appointments as he should have been under the law. However, he doesn't find in favor of Marbury just yet. He's really going to examine everything that is being presented. And strangely enough, John Marshall is a Federalist, so you would think he would automatically have found in favor of Marbury, but again, separating himself from the law. So it's going to bring into question, again, the Judiciary Act of 1789, all the way to the Supreme Court. John Marshall is going to rule that part of the Judiciary Act from 1789 is unconstitutional. There was an extension of the law that created these brand new positions, but the law that altered the court's power is now going to be found invalid. And this is going to establish something very, very important, really for the future of our country, and that's judicial review. This is really going to secure the Supreme Court's position as a co-equal part of our federal government. At this point, they're still kind of in the background. They haven't really taken that position as an equal with the legislative branch and the executive branch, but from this point forward, it's really going to establish itself as an equal part. Louisiana Purchase. This is Napoleon. He is going to just simply offer it to the United States. He gets tired of it. It was supposed to be this huge breadbasket place for them, supposed to be this land of riches, but it's just not working out. Napoleon lets a family member try to run it, and he's running it into the ground. It's basically a disaster for the French. So he's going to offer the Louisiana Territory to the United States. Jefferson himself is going to jump at this. Jefferson is going to, without congressional approval, mind you, going to pay Napoleon $15 million. This type of decision should have gone through Congress first, but Jefferson thought it was simply too good of a deal to pass up, and simply he thought he just asked for forgiveness later. This purchase itself is more than going to double the territory and really help in the manifest destiny idea that is going to take place in about 20 to 25 years. He is going to set out an expedition for Lewis and Clark to explore this new territory and kind of gain some information and see what the terrain is like. And you can kind of see here, this is a huge chunk of territory for $15 million. We get the Port of New Orleans, we get all of this stuff to the Rocky Mountains there, and all the way up north to what is going to be the 49th parallel division line between us and Canada. We're going to fast forward to the end of Madison's first term, the War of 1812. There's a few reasons why we go to war with the British. It's the French and the British, both of them really, are challenging our shipping lanes at this point. But the British itself are going to take it a step further. What they're going to do is something called impressment. What they're going to do is take our Americans that are at sea and draft them into the British Navy. They're also going to supply weapons to the Native Americans. Remember, they're still pretty upset that we beat them in our bid for independence. What this is really going to come down to is, by 1812, remember all those cuts that Jefferson had on the Army and the Navy. We're going to be very ill prepared here. This is 10, 12 years later. So we're not going to have the amount of soldiers that's going to be necessary to beat back this attack right away. By 1814, the British have advanced so much that they're going to start to burn Washington, D.C. down to the ground. Madison himself and the rest of the White House actually have to flee the city. Later in that year, however, we are actually going to finally beat them back. The Treaty of Ghent is going to end the war December 24th, 1814. The interesting part about this, though, Andrew Jackson, he's going to make a name for himself a few days later, January 8th, 1815. After the war, mind you, the war has already been decided. He's going to lead troops and beat back the British at the Battle of New Orleans. Now remember, this is 1815. There is no phones, there is no internet, nothing like that to get the word to him quick enough. So by January, they're still believing that they're firmly entrenched in war. So this is really what's going to be Jackson's claim to fame here. The consequences of the War of 1812. The Federalist Party, the party of John Adams and others, is going to be dead. The positive side of this, however, is American industry is going to take a boom here. During this war, we couldn't really trade with anybody, so we had to promote our own industries. And what this is going to do is confirm the independence of the United States. And our last topic is foreign policy. We're going to fast forward a little bit here to the 1820s. The major priority for us at this point is national security. When James Monroe is going to take office, he's going to address Congress, so it's later going to be known as the Monroe Doctrine. And really what this is a warning to European nations to basically stay out of the western part of the hemisphere, being the North American side and Central American side. What he's going to basically tell them is, whatever colonies are here now, that's fine, but any new colonies right at this point is going to be considered dangerous to our peace and safety. So European countries, especially Spain and Portugal at this point, they're trying to kind of reassert their power after losing a little bit over the last 20 plus years. So he's basically going to tell them that any new colony or attempted settlement is going to be dangerous and we will act accordingly with force. At the same time, he also kind of says we are not going to attempt to colonize any part of any European areas or anything like that that's already been colonized or been held by European powers. Really what this is going to do is become the bedrock of our foreign policy. The foundations of it, of the entire foreign policy of the last 200 years starts right here with the Monroe Doctrine. And let's recap. You should be able to examine the impact that the election of Thomas Jefferson had on the United States, consider what he wanted to do with government, his political ideology. Number two, you should be able to explain the reasons we went to war with the British in 1812. One of the major things, again, was that British impressment. And number three, you should be able to understand the Monroe Doctrine, what it was, and the impact it had not just on the United States, but the world. Remember, no new colonies, and anything that would be new would be considered dangerous to our peace and safety. So, if you have any questions, send me an email, find me in class. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.